Hello and welcome back to the Film Custodian Show. I am the Film Custodian and I just got back from cleaning up the theater that I live behind in this garage. Yeah, it slaps. So, King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, directed by Guy Ritchie and starring Charlie Hannon. And Jude Law's in there as a villain, and we got a bunch of other people. So what can I say about this film? I think we just need to talk about Guy Ritchie for a second. So Guy Ritchie he did Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, he did Snatch, he did that horrible film called Revolver, also starring Jason Statham. And more or less, Guy Ritchie has always done this kind of genre, and he kind of went back to it recently with The Gentleman, where it's just, gangsters and geezers and, blimey, Charlie, that type of thing, so it's like, oh, well, where's Mikey? Which Mikey? Is it, flat-nosed Mikey or is it fat Mikey? What Mikey is it? Well, what? Hey, what? And he kind of brings that sensibility from Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch, which are great movies, and they work on their own. But he kind of brings that sensibility over to the fantasy realm, over to this movie, King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, and where basically it starts off where, spoiler alert, by the way, spoiler alert if you don't want to be spoiled. This movie's been out for like 5 years or something now, so hey, it is what it is. So basically, he is born like there's got to be a better way to start. He's born like everybody. All right, so basically, he sees his mother and his father killed by the evil uncle, right? By Jude Law, who uses some crazy magic from some lake area where there's like this big fat octopus woman and her kind of mermaid-looking people. I'm not really sure what that's supposed to be. It's not really explained. That kind of thing. A lot of the magic, a lot of the magical type stuff, it's not really explained in this, or they don't spend any time on it. They spend all of their time pretty much with the hero, which is fine, but it's, again, going back to his gangsters and, oh, blimey, that type of thing. He goes back to that. Like, that's the entire movie, where it's just, you get, oh, what's going on, Audie? So Arthur comes in, or whatever they were actually calling him in the film. I don't even really remember. I don't think they actually call him Arthur. Do they? Whatever. So you get Charlie that comes in, you get his mates that come in, right? And they're all kind of like, okay, so we're going to get down to brass tacks, or we're going to talk about what happened. And then you get the guy from Game of Thrones in there. I'm glad to see this guy really getting out there. He was in, he was also in The Last Duel, very briefly. This guy played Roose Bolton in season 2 of Game of Thrones and was absolutely fantastic. The show is so good, and he's so good in it, and he was just well cast, and he's been playing those sort of hard-edged, sharp characters ever since. So he kind of comes in. He's sort of one of the agents of the evil villain of Jude Law, which we don't spend a lot of time with, so that was kind of disappointing. And he's just, okay, so what happened to the Viking? And they're like, whoa, what do you mean what happened to the Viking? It's like, all right, well, we got to go back. And you keep going back and forth, flashbacks, flash forwards. You're doing, quick cuts to characters and, all right, well then, what did you do next? And it's like, well, in order to tell you that, I've got to go back a little bit further and we got to go over here. And it's like, and then we saw Mikey and then we saw Joe. And then Joe was like, oh, hey, what? And then they're like, oh, what? And so that aspect of, I don't know, Guy Ritchie's writing, or I think Guy Ritchie believes he's writing this masterpiece, this new language of cinema or something, but it's kind of annoying after a while. Like I said, it works in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch. It even works in The Gentleman. But The Gentleman I didn't think was his best work. Guy Ritchie's best work is Sherlock Holmes. Those movies with Jude Law and then Robert Downey Jr. playing Sherlock. Those movies are great because the bad tendencies that Guy Ritchie tends to have were completely, they didn't happen. They weren't there, right? Now his quick cutting action was there, but it was done in a very good way, a very tasteful way. And it works for what they were trying to do with Sherlock, that they were trying to bring that into the action realm and whatnot. And there isn't, stopping every 5 seconds to explain something. Well, we're going to explain this story. That's fine if you want to do that, but they do it the entire movie of Legend of the Sword. And so, you go here, you go there. Eventually, Arthur he pulls the sword out of the stone, and he goes on his hero's journey, which, everybody's likable. He comes together with, his buddies, and you have like him, and it's almost like him and his band of merry men. They have this adventure, and it's really cool. It's really fun. I didn't hate this movie, or I didn't dislike this movie as much as I thought I was going to dislike it. I actually liked it. I think Guy Ritchie did a good job with it. It's just not his best work, and like I said, all that kind of gangster stuff kind of gets old after the 10th time that they've done it. But I guess also it was a kind of a combobulation of a bunch of different scripts they were trying to get. They were trying to get a Camelot shared universe off the ground, which I'm kind of glad that didn't happen, because why? Why does everything have to be a shared universe now? I mean, even, like the Monsterverse was in trouble for a while there with King Kong and Godzilla and all that, but whatever, everything's got to be a shared universe, content, everything is content. Oh! But anyway, so they do some magic stuff. He kind of goes into he does the cave thing. He has to go in and do the hero's journey type of thing. And they kind of skip over that because he wants to spend time, getting together, going, if Mikey went over here, we went over there, we distracted the guards over there. And it's like, well, you're in this magical realm, this movie that's supposed to have all these magical creatures and stuff. Do that. No, he wants to make this a gangster movie, which is kind of what it is. Arthur's raised on the streets. He's on the streets here, mate, we're out here trying to survive. With Flat-Nosed Mikey and, and everyone else. He's learning Kung Fu. Yeah, King Arthur learns Kung Fu in this movie, which, was kind of cool. But, I mean, that's the thing. Every Guy Ritchie movie has boxing in it, right? But, again, it's, Guy Ritchie's his good stuff and his bad stuff. And I think this movie kind of brings out both those. There's a lot of good and a lot of bad. So there's the good Guy Ritchie stuff and then the bad Guy Ritchie stuff, and it just comes together and makes kind of it's a pretty good movie. I think all the villains' armor and the look of everything is just fantastic. How Jude Law is in he's got the gauntlets on, and it just looks really, really good. Some of the CGI was questionable, but I mean, Guy Ritchie doesn't really do CGI, right? There's a decent amount of CGI in Sherlock Holmes, but it's not to this extent. There was a lot more shots in this one. Yeah, all in all, I think this is a good movie. It's just kind of the best and worst of Guy Ritchie, and if you can appreciate the Guy Ritchie stuff, and then also if you like King Arthur, if you like fantasy, then yeah, this is a good movie. I would go check it out. It's definitely not going to get a sequel, but they were setting up stuff for a sequel because it didn't. I think it bombed, and it didn't get good reviews. I'm giving it a pretty decent review. I think it's a pretty good movie. It's worth a watch if you're a Guy Ritchie fan. Like I said, some of that stuff gets annoying. Some of his stuff is really good. I think it's a pretty decent film. I was surprised that I liked it as much as I did. So, all right. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this. It costs you nothing. Please like and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button right now. Do it. Do it. Did you do it? Okay. See you later.